friends. Today's video is kind of a combination mental health chat and story time. It's a video that I've thought about making before a lot of times and I just haven't. But recently I had somebody comment on one of my videos and said, I'm unsubscribing to you because you never respond to your fans, and that's a really tricky, triggering thing for me, and I wanted to talk about it. And I want to start out by saying that I am so incredibly grateful and appreciative for every single person that listens to my music. I consider myself so lucky that I'm able to do this for a living. I try and read all of the comments that you leave me, and they're so motivating for me, and I know that I am in the minority of people that 99% of the comments that I get on my videos are kind and positive, and I think that's just because you all are amazing people, and that is something that I do not take for granted at all. And I'm not as active with responding to comments on here, but I respond to every email that I get. I respond with a handwritten note for every thing that I get in the mail. I try and repost Instagram stories when I'm tagged in them. I really do try. But I do have kind of a weird and complicated history with fan interactions, and I wanted to tell you about it. When I was starting the process of recording Porcelain Heart, I probably had maybe 15 or 20,000 subscribers. I was still somebody that was very much living a normal life and was just starting to do more with music. And today, honestly, my day-to-day life is very normal. I just am fortunate enough that I get to do music as my job. But other than that, I lead a very normal, nondescript life. But back when I was recording Porcelain Heart, I had a very small but active group of people that listened to my music, and I was very interactive with them. And I had one guy in particular. He was 17 years old at the time, and he emailed me frequently and went into a lot of detail about the struggles he was having with being gay in a small town, and just sent me a lot of very personal information about himself. And at first, I didn't really think very much of it. I tried to respond, email him back, message him back when he contacted me. But then I ended up getting a message from somebody that said that they went to school with him, and that he was telling people at the school that he was one of the producers on my album, that he had been there while I was recording it, and that we knew each other personally. And it was definitely a bit of a red flag, but I wanted to be really careful with how I responded because I didn't want to fuel anybody at the school to start bullying him if I just called him out to this person. So I responded generally with, he has been an amazing supporter and a very nice person. We don't know each other on a personal level, but I'm very grateful that he supports my music. And so I definitely started being a little more cautious with interacting with him and trying not to respond to everything that I got because I didn't want to encourage it. So some time passed and he still would pretty regularly message me, but I thought that it had gotten to a point that was manageable. And then one day I was sitting at my desk where I was working a front desk job at a dentist office, and someone walked in the door, and I looked up and this guy was standing there and had a box of donuts. And that wasn't really out of the ordinary because we would have a lot of offices that we referred patients to that would bring us cupcakes and donuts and stuff. So I just thought it was something like that. And so I looked up and I greeted him, and he just kind of stood there and stared at me. And so I was like, can I help you? And he said, do you know who I am? And I looked at him again, and I realized that it was this guy. I was in a lot of shock because he lived on the other side of the United States, so to see him in any capacity was jarring, but to see him at my office, my place of employment, was really disturbing. And I found out that he had been able to find my personal Facebook page. I've got one social media account that is just like my personal private Facebook page, but he was able to find it and it listed where I worked, and so he found where I worked and came to my office. And it was pretty soon after Christina Grimmie, who was a YouTuber and was on The Voice, she was shot and killed at one of her concerts by a fan. And so that added another layer of fear for me in that moment. But I navigated it the best I could. You know, I came around and I spoke with him for a few minutes. And after he left, I went back in my break room and cried, because I think that it was harmless, but I didn't know that for sure in that moment. And it was really scary. And I feel dramatic even saying that, because I don't think that he intended any harm. I don't know that he even really realized how inappropriate it was, but I didn't know what was going to happen in that moment. I believe it was pretty shortly after that that I got a letter from somebody saying that they were one of his friends and that they couldn't wait to meet me because she knew how close we were. And he just very clearly had been building this narrative to the people in his life that we had a relationship outside of the internet kind of listener and artist interactions that we had had. He ended up passing away. It was really sad and tragic, but I did end up having family members of his reach out to me asking if I would come sing at his funeral service because of how close we were. And even a year later had a friend of his reach out to me because I think they were doing some kind of anniversary like celebration of life and wanted to know if I could come. And that whole situation just really shaped the way that I think and feel about maintaining boundaries with the people that listen to my music. And I don't even think I realized how much it impacted me until much later. But as a result, I'm incredibly conscientious about trying to make sure that I don't encourage something like that ever again. So all of that to say that when somebody comes in and basically implies that I don't do enough for my fans, that's a really hard comment to hear, because I know my history with it and how much I think about it and how much I try and find that balance that I know is going to work for my mental health to still be able to connect with you guys, but in a way that is appropriate. And it causes me a lot of anxiety and is a lot of like anxious energy that I spend when it comes to responding or feeling guilty for not responding, because I've been there. I know that it's disappointing when you feel like you're a big fan of somebody and you message them and you don't hear back, or you see that they respond to somebody else and you're like, well, why wasn't it me? Like, I know how that feels. So the situation that I've set up that works best for me is making sure that I respond to every email, respond to every letter or note or gift that I get in the mail, reposting edits and Instagram stories when I see them. And the new way that I'm doing my merch has a really cool feature where I'm able to send a personalized video to everybody that orders something. So I'm really excited to have that new way to be able to connect with you guys. So I hope that this person is in the minority in thinking that I don't do enough for you guys, because I really do try. I really do think about it a lot. And I really am so incredibly grateful and appreciative, because I know that I would not be able to do this without you. And I am very, very, very lucky. So please know that I care very deeply about you, and I will see you next time. Bye.